So it's just connecting.
All right, now you can see my pretty horse.
Okie dokie. Whee. Hang on, let's just do some that is I am sorry, I have had a little flip out where extra people's that have joined us are showing up, but that's okay because they aren't on video, so they should be all right. Okay, so welcome to the first Do No Harm Summit. We are back this morning in Queensland time, or late afternoon over in Canada, where Lisa Marie is presenting from. And we are doing our session 2 today. So just before we crack on to a little bit, I just wanted to cover off a couple of things to make sure you guys are aware of what's going to happen. For those of you guys who missed out on last night's session, if you're in the Facebook group, it's still there, so you can go back and watch the recording. Just if you comment on there, make sure you tag replay or use the comment hashtag replay so that we know that you are watching and we can respond. For those of you that are watching through the webinar, the recording link will be emailed to you later today, and you'll be able to go back and binge watch a whole bunch of the sessions that we have from this morning. To give you a little bit of an idea of the flow of today, which is Saturday, at the moment it's 9 AM in Queensland, Australia. So today we've got Lisa Marie for first. We'll have Anna talking about bit fitting coming up after that at 11. Lisa is going to talk about hoof care at 1. Jane is going to talk about aromatherapy at 5, and then Katie is popping back on again at 7:30 tonight. We're going to be talking about dressage. So if you are keen, make sure that you get into those. If you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to send them through earlier, either by posting comments into the Facebook group or sending emails, and then we can make sure that they're answered for you live. At the moment, I'm just waiting on a few people to jump into the Facebook group just to make sure that you guys are catching it streaming and we don't miss out on half of the questions. And if you see me looking across to the left, that's because I'm looking at my iPad to keep an eye on the Facebook group so that I can see any questions that do pop up as they come through. A little bit of housekeeping for you guys though. As you have questions, feel free to pop them up into either the comments or the chats. What we will, I will read out your comment or your questions for you, and Lisa Marie will answer them as we go. If I miss it, don't worry, it's usually that I've taken a note down and I'll come back to it. It's just that we've moved on from that particular topic and we'll come back and wrap up a few of those extra questions at the end. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Lisa Marie from Full Stride Solutions. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Marie. Sorry.
Marie, fine.
So just tell me a little bit about why you've decided to come in and who you are, what your background is, and of course about that horsey picture in the background.
Isn't that gorgeous? My mom got it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I just love it. It's wrought iron, I think, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
that was a perfect picture behind my head. So I have about I'd say about 13 years of experience in the admin field, and about 3.5 years ago I started my business as a virtual assistant. Started out not knowing what I want to do or who I want to do it for, but I knew I'm good at computers, I'm good at admin, so that's where I kind of wanted to go. And about a year ago I really nailed down who I wanted to work with, which is people who are as passionate about horses and dogs as I am, and what I want to do for them, which is for the most part web design, copywriting, and business processes. I like the geeky stuff that most people don't like.
I can definitely say that I can agree with you. Sometimes I do like the geeky stuff, and sometimes I wish I could hand it off.
Yeah, so that's pretty much me. Other than that, I have an Australian Kelpie, and a bearded dragon. So I'm very Aussie in my animals. Panda knows what a Kelpie is unless you work on a ranch or you do dog sports. But my girl is amazing.
She sounds beautiful. We'll have to get you to share a picture of her or get her to come up if she's around. Your volume has disappeared, Lisa Marie.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
All right.
All right. So today we've got you to come in to talk a little bit about thinking business in this changing world. And I think this is an extremely relevant topic. Why do you think that it's a really important thing to discuss or think about now?
Well, I think everyone, with the pandemic and with this new reality that we're all dealing with, everyone's scrambling, trying to figure out new ways of bringing in income, because the traditional ways that were their day job may not be suitable at the moment. So right now, especially, people are trying new things, they're diversifying, and really with that comes a lot of responsibilities, legalities, and obstacles that people wouldn't necessarily know about or think about right now, but that could have absolutely real consequences later on.
So what kind of things are you talking about, like examples of different areas that people might be thinking of gaining some extra income from that perhaps they're not thinking much like from a business perspective?
Could be something as simple as boarding a couple horses for a friend, or you're really crafty, so you make maybe brow bands, or you sew things. Things like that, where it's just a few extra bucks here and there. It's not really a business, but that it could very well turn into a business one day. Or even if it doesn't, it's important to understand what you're going through to encounter. And so with something as simple as I said, boarding a couple horses for a friend, you're just doing a friend a favor. But if you are gaining money from it, you should have a business mindset, at least partially.
And when you say a business mindset, what are the type of things that you're thinking of?
Something as simple as bookkeeping. Most people don't think about that kind of thing. They're just getting a few extra bucks here and there. They don't need to think about adding that to their taxes or business write-offs. Or stock photos is another one. If you are using social media in any way and you're using stock photos, what are the legal requirements and copyright associated with that? Most people wouldn't think about that. So those are the areas that I see with my clients that they come into issues with. If you don't know the legalities of how to use things online, you can get into trouble faster than you would even think.
I think you and I need to have a little bit of a chat.
And that's why it's really important, because people are shocked. Something that people don't realize. Do you know that if you say you hire a social media manager, do you know that if they log into your Facebook, they can get not only their account shut down, but your account shut down, as well as any accounts that you guys are admin for, because it's against Facebook's terms and conditions to have someone else log into your account.
I didn't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least that would happen without warning.
Yeah, and I've seen so many times where people say they're social media managers, they're experts, and then they end up getting their clients sued because of something like that. So It's really important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. Well, thinking about some other areas, so I guess a lot of us, if we are doing these types of things and we're so these extra income type resources, we're probably not set up in a way, or maybe we don't have the skills, or maybe we don't have the technology to be able to manage some of these types of things, and might be looking for external help.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say around that in terms of what you should be looking for from those types of professions? Who is out there doing these types of things to support them, and how best to utilize, I guess, a third party to help you with that small hobby business or extra income that you're getting?
It really depends on the type of professional you need. But to give some examples, a web designer. A lot of people run into issues with web designers because if you trust somebody that you shouldn't be trusting, you could run into an obstacle of that web designer may buy the domain for you because you don't know how to do that. However, they could then own your domain.
Wow.
And so then they have control. So that's an important aspect that people don't think about. I've had more than one client come to me after for a new web design, and I start asking questions, and they discover that not only does their current web designer own their domain, but the client does not have access to their own backend, which means they literally have no control over their own website. And they're paying this professional who knows how much money, and they don't even know what they're getting for it. So that's an area that you can run into a lot of shady people, and I've found that quite often in my own industry, as well as with bookkeepers. You don't want to hire a friend's daughter, for example, to do your bookkeeping because they don't know the ins and outs of it. You want a professional. So it's important to make sure that the person that you're hiring is a professional, as well as they have the credentials, whether that's the experience, they know the answers to your questions, they have schooling, or they have the background to do what you're looking for. A good way to figure that out is, now this isn't always the case, such as for right now, I am not part of an association, but someone who's part of a professional association for their industry has to adhere to a code of ethics, and that also will help you. So it's important to just make sure that you aren't going with the cheapest rate, that you are going with the person who you can trust is going to be a professional and who will help you in the areas that you need. So.
Yeah. I've definitely found, working with Equestrian Movement, that there's been a few less than ethical people out there willing to take my money and not give me what I've asked for, which of course isn't ideal when you're in a situation of a startup business or anything like that, or just doing it for a few extra dollars or a bit of support as well. We actually had a really good question come through about how much financial impact do you think virtual assistants could actually have, say, doing all your social posts for someone who doesn't know what they're actually doing?
To be honest, tens of thousands potentially. Because to give a scenario that could happen, the virtual assistant creates a graphic for your business using stock photo that they found on Google. They use that stock photo, they create a graphic. The person who actually owns that photo comes back and says, you are using that photo illegally, I'm going to sue you. At that point, your virtual assistant has cost you potentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for using a photo that is not legally allowed to be used. Or another example would be such as, you have all of your business on Facebook. All of your customers come from Facebook. Everything you do comes from Facebook. You have nothing external from Facebook. Your virtual assistant logs into your account because you don't have a business page. You use it off your personal page. Facebook algorithm takes hold, does its thing, discovers that the person is logged into your account. And then your business is shut down because you have no customers, you have no contacts, you have no account on Facebook, you have no way of finding things. You've then lost your entire business. So those are two very real examples that I have heard of in this industry more than once.
And on the flip side, say you find a really good virtual assistant who is very aware of the legalities of stock photos, is very much on top of these types of focuses, could they have a significantly beneficial aspect to your business?
Absolutely, because the best part about using a virtual assistant is that they take care of the things that you can delegate, so you have time for income generating. So if you are not so much stuck on your website, your social media, your business processes, everything is automated as much as possible, virtual assistants taking care of everything, you have time to not only do income generating activities, you have time to ride your horse.
That's more important than anything else.
From one of my kind of go-to taglines, if you will, for my business is that I take care of the web design. I take care of the parts you don't have to, that you can delegate, so you have time for the truly important things in life. And it really is. It's the business stuff only you can do. It's spending time with your family, your pets, your hobbies, all of that. A virtual assistant can give you time. It can get rid of the confusion, and it can absolutely elevate your business if you have the right person working with you. And it really depends on personalities. It depends on working style. You can have a very good virtual assistant who doesn't fit with you, and so you have to find the right person. And you can find people on Upwork. You can find people through associations, through Facebook. There's lots of different ways, and really comes down to finding the person that fits with your style and who understands your business. And that's why I find for myself, I always recommend clients to work with someone who understands their industry, which is why I work with horse and dog people, because I know the industry. I'm not just some person who's doesn't understand the lingo, which is a big thing. If you have no idea what on the bit means, how can you possibly portray that in your social media, right?
Absolutely.
So finding a virtual assistant or any professional who understands your industry can work wonders on your business or even on your side income. So.
Yay. Well, I have a pretty interesting question for you then, knowing that you tend to work on websites, for example. What would you say would be the most important things that a person looks for outside of that gelling and knowing the industry from a website designer, for example?
I would say someone who works with more than one platform. For example, as an example, I work on WordPress, I work on Shopify, Wix, Squarespace. So because I know the different platforms, I'm able to use what is important to you to discover and figure out what platform works best. So having someone who knows different platforms will allow you to make sure that you are getting the right advice, as well as someone who has a good eye, I guess, because a lot of website design is the flow of the website. So you want to make sure that the person understands and how to make the flow of where you want your audience to go. So look at some of the other websites they've built. Most web designers, whether they know it or not, whether they acknowledge it or not, they have set patterns of how they like to set up a website. And it will differ for each client because each client has specific needs. But most people, without noting it, humans are routine people. So most of the time you'll see some sort of a pattern with the website. So you'll be able to see if it really works for what you are looking for.
Excellent. I believe Robin has another question just asking about how to find a good virtual assistant. But I think you've got a pretty cool little offer you wanted to shout out to the guys of a tea talk chat.
Yes. Yeah, it's a new service offering because a lot of people don't know what they're looking for, or they just need to ask a couple small questions that are specific to their business or what have you. And so this offering is you pick my brain for 30 minutes on Zoom and on whatever you want, whatever topic you want. So if you have any specific questions to your business, just hop on there and we'll hammer them out.
Excellent. I'll pop a link towards that after the session, so everybody knows where to reach out if they've got more questions specific that we can't go too deep into, or perhaps that are a bit more individualistic, because I guess things like virtual assistants, website design, all of that is very specific to what you are thinking about doing. But let's go back to what we were talking about really early on, and some of the, I guess, real hobby things that most people wouldn't think at all are business-like at all. So think about, for example, boarding or a gisting. So you're keeping a couple of your friends' horses on your property, and you're making a small income out of that. Why should those types of people be thinking and worrying about business? And should they be thinking about things like websites and virtual assistants and bookkeeping and all of those other fun things, insurances?
Yes, that is a very good topic. What I would say is the reason you should be thinking business, even if it's just a friend's horses, is that if you run into any issues, if an accident happens, you can guarantee insurance company is going to be thinking business. The medical is going to be thinking business. And you don't want to run into an issue where, because you didn't have that mindset and an accident happens, you end up losing a friendship. That to me is the most important thing. You don't want to take a chance of losing a friendship because you didn't have clear expectations. So you don't necessarily need a website or a VA if you're just wanting to board a couple of friends' horses. But I strongly recommend that you talk to a professional bookkeeper or accountant to make sure that, first of all, any tax benefits that you'd be eligible for would be available, that you keep track of your income for tax benefits, as well as you'll definitely want to talk to your insurance company about liability, because your homeowner's insurance may not cover having other people's horses on the property, or they may not cover if something happens. I've heard horror stories about people, boarding someone's horses or having a friend riding on the property, and their insurance went after the boarding owner's insurance, and it isn't the person going after. You can say, oh, well, I've known them since childhood, there's absolutely no way they would sue me. But the problem is that they won't sue you, but their insurance company will, because someone has to take care of the expenses of that injury, whether it's to the horse or to the person. So those kind of things, it just allows you to really enjoy having the horses on your property, or enjoy having that extra income without worrying about any accidents, as well as having clear expectations of, as an example, is this full board? Is this semi board? If I can't get over here one day, are you going to be able to take care of the horse? What's the expectations there? Because you want to make sure that in case something happens, your friendship is safe. And that's my biggest thing. I've seen way too many people lose friendships over something as small as not having clear expectations.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big thing. And I think in Australia and probably all around the world, this is one of the things that a lot of us do. People that have a property, a friend has a horse, the horse comes in, and there isn't any real set out, business mindset of it. It's kind of like, I'm doing my friend a favor, but then that favor can really fall and flop on your face.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And having a business mindset doesn't mean you have to be serious all the time. It doesn't mean that you have to I equate it to having a prenup. It doesn't mean you're going to get divorced. It doesn't mean you want to get divorced. It means just in case something unforeseeable happens, you're both protected. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about other ways, because now that we're in the situation that we are currently in Australia, we're starting to see some relaxation of COVID legalities, but that could change at the drop of a hat. I know across the world that some people are still in quite tight lockdown. And I think a lot of us, unfortunately, particularly as horse owners, are struggling from an income perspective and reevaluating what we can and can do, as this topic is so relevant at the moment. What are, for those people who haven't sort of come up with an idea but are thinking around those ideas, what are the different ways that people can use the online market, seeing as we really can't get out and socialize at the moment, to promote or to create new business or new income streams?
I would say the first place to look at is your own skills, hobbies, and interests, because those are the areas. If you, as an example, a friend of mine, she started out with creating dog collars for people, sewing dog collars. She started it because she wanted to give a friend of hers a collar for Christmas. She has now turned it into a full-time business making clothes for children. So you never know where things are going to go. So if you like to sew, maybe you've made blankets for friends' babies once in a while, or maybe you like creating brow bands for your friends. Look at your own interests and look at what you enjoy doing, and then go on Facebook and join groups where you think your target audience is in, and start seeing what people are looking for. You know, as a kind of a side example, I'm looking for a basking platform for my bearded dragon. I posted in a group. Someone said, you know, my husband makes us these things for our dogs and stuff. I'll talk to him and see if he wants to do that. Probably would never have thought of that before, but there you go. So something as simple as your own interests, your own crafty abilities, or if your day job is working in human resources, for example, how can you apply that to the horse industry, right? There's so many different creative ways to do it, and just touting my own horn, Talk sessions can probably help you with that.
I think I'll be booking in for one of those Talk sessions myself, actually.
You know, it's about thinking creatively and thinking outside the box right now, right? Because you just never know what you can do until you try something.
Absolutely. All right, so we've covered off a few different areas. I wanted to talk a little bit more about things like marketing as well. So obviously, if you're doing this as a little bit of a side hobby, perhaps you're just getting started in this area, you want to perhaps grow it just to create some form of consistent income coming through in this relatively volatile environment that we're currently in. What would you suggest in that area? Sort of, what are the things that you know, should we be thinking about marketing? What should we be thinking about in terms of marketing?
Marketing isn't the way it used to be. Marketing is building relationships right now. That's the biggest thing. So my first piece of advice is do not spend money. Don't boost posts. Absolutely don't boost posts, no matter what, because they're a waste of money, to be honest, in my opinion. If you're going to spend money on Facebook advertising, ads, targeted ads are your friend. But if you're just looking for a bit of side income, join the groups where your people hang out and build relationships, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. That's the biggest thing. So right now, don't think of marketing as in a traditional sense. Talk to friends and family, let them know what you're doing. Join groups, build relationships. That's your marketing. And that's the biggest thing right now. Especially I think with horse people, especially, like, we're so used to the barn environment, right? Where we just hang out and we talk and we get to know each other. Think of it like that, but on Facebook and on Instagram, Pinterest, whichever target market that you're in, where your people are, that's where you should be. And just post, engage, connect, comment on people's posts, things like that. That's the biggest thing to me.
Yeah, I think that is incredibly relevant right now. A lot of like, obviously, because I do a lot of marketing behind equestrian movement, and sometimes, yes, I get it wrong. That's the learning process. But I see all of these people who are telling me, you know, you need to spend thousands of dollars, you know, drop thousands of dollars each month on Facebook ads and all these fun things. But I do agree with you in that what people are looking for, particularly in our industry, in the equine industry, we're really looking for that level of connection. People don't buy from websites, people buy from people. Exactly.
And just kind of a marketing someone else's program right now. If anyone watching has a business and is not in Melody Semler's Equine Entrepreneurs Horse Business Advice Group, join it. And I'm currently doing her Equine Entrepreneurs Excellence Program, EAP. EAP is better. And there's been only, other than paying for the program itself, there's been only 1 week where we have actually had to pay any money, and that's Facebook ads to learn how to do them. That's it. She does amazing things to show people how to build relationships and to build their business without having to spend a ton of money. The people who tell you you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to market your business, there's a reason they have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. It's because they're not building relationships. That's the biggest thing right now. It, honestly, especially right now, because I, right from the start, did not agree with the whole social distancing phrase. We shouldn't be socially distancing. What we should be doing is physically distancing, socially connecting. We need to have that connection, especially now. And that's the biggest way you're going to build business, in my opinion, is to build relationships.
Definitely. And big shout out. I know Melody's actually in this group as well. So a big shout out to Melody, because she does some great work with us, even inside her own Facebook group. Even if you're not on the EAP program, there's a lot of value there, but her EAP program is actually pretty epic from what I hear. So
Really is.
All right. So I think I've covered off most of everything that I wanted to ask. Is there anybody else that's come up that's got any other extra questions? I think, yeah, just having a quick look through both. No extra questions, lots of highs though. So a lot of people sounding out to you, or shouting out to you, I should say. Okay, well, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. Can you tell us about this, a little bit more about the Tea Talk and how we can go about getting it with you?
Well, as I said, the Tea Talk sessions are literally whatever you need it to be. It's basically picking my brain, and if we can do quick fixes by sharing a screen, we can do quick fixes. Your website design, copywriting, content, blog posts, business processes. So something that a lot of people are very unsure of is using project managers, client relationship managers, and setting up processes in their business. And so I find a lot of my clients, that's kind of where they really need the help with, is figuring out how to make things less overwhelming. So we can go over that kind of thing. Best practices as well, such as the stock photos, the Facebook business page, things like that. Essentially anything to do with your business that you're just struggling with and you just need a little bit of guidance, you need some feedback, that kind of thing. Any of that is open market on this. I may not have the answers, but I can at least point you in a direction for someone who does. So, and right now, this is for all of my service offerings except for web design. I'm doing what's called COA pricing. I discovered that recently and I just absolutely loved it. It's Maori custom of giving from the heart. So right now, all of my services except web design, because unfortunately it does take a lot of time to build someone's website, is pay what you can afford. So you dictate the prices, not me. And you're not gonna, no one's gonna, I've had this problem, or not problem, excuse me, question from a lot of people. Well, I don't want to underpay you. I don't want to insult you. You're not gonna insult me. It's literally pay what you can afford, pay what you think is right, and that's it. So Tea Talk sessions are right in that too. So.
Wow, that's an absolutely amazing offer. So I'll make sure that I pop it up in the link so that if anybody is sort of at the moment in that position where you have a business that you are working with and want to sound a couple of things out, where you are looking to start marketing or start website design or anything like that, to have a little bit of a Tea Talk chat with Lisa Marie and get a few things out on the table. So I think that's an absolute amazing offer. Thank you very, very much.
You do it.
So on that note, I think you've given the teams our audience a lot of great insight into what they should be doing and where they can get some good resources. So thank you very much. And I already know what I'm doing next, which just means that my day off on Monday is not so much a day off anymore.
Yeah, business, never a true day off, I don't think.
Sometimes no. So thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that you've taken the time to come and join us and share some of your expertise in the area of business, website, marketing, that kind of thing. So for everybody else, this wraps up our first session for today, which is session 2 of the First Do No Harm Summit. At 11 o'clock, we are actually going to be running with Anna, who's going to be talking about bit fitting. So again, you'll get an email that will come through that will have the link inside that particular, for that particular webinar, or it will just start streaming in the group and you'll get a 10-minute notice, post notice as well. If you can't make the session, if you sort of jumped in halfway through this session, don't worry, you're not going to lose access to it. Later today, I'm just collating all of the recordings and sending out some links so that you can catch up and binge watch, because what a better time to binge watch than on a Friday night / Saturday. So enjoy. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Lisa Marie, and we will see you guys soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.